Alright, a lot of you have been asking me to make videos as a quick review for you guys to help you study for finals. So, you guys better watch these. I'm going to be really mad if there are no views on this when you guys come in for your final. So, grab your practice final if you've got it, and I want you guys to open up to the first page. So, section 9.4 to 9.6, that's what this video is going to be about. 9.4 to 9.6. So it starts out with determining if the parabola opens up or down. To determine that, we need to look at the leading coefficient. Okay, so the leading coefficient is always the number that's in front of the x squared, right? A parabola means we're looking at a quadratic. So leading coefficient would be the number in front of the x squared, which means it has to be in standard form first. So make sure it's in standard form. So taking a look at number 1 is already in standard form. Y equals negative 2x squared minus 6x. So it's already in standard form. I'm going to circle my leading coefficient. My leading coefficient is a negative 2. That tells me that my parabola opens down. For number 2, that's not in standard form. So I need to rewrite it so that it is x squared minus 2x. Now it is in standard form, and if I look, the number in front of x squared is simply just a positive 1. So a positive leading coefficient means that this parabola is going to open up. So that is the work I'm going to be looking for on your final. Remember that it is only 1 point for getting the correct answer. It's 4 points for showing me why. So you guys need to show me that you're looking at those leading coefficients by either writing leading coefficient, tell me A equals, or whatever it happens to be, but show me that you know why it either opens up or opens down. Okay? Moving on, finding the vertex of a parabola. So vertex means that we're looking for either the min or the max point. Emphasis on point. Okay, so a point means it's got to be x comma y. So the first thing we're going to do, just like before, is make sure it's in standard form. If it's not in standard form, we have to put it in standard form. Okay, so let's take a look at number 5. Y equals negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. That is in standard form, so we are good. We are going to just go ahead right away and do A equals, B equals, and C equals. And we want to identify the correct values. So A would be negative 2, B would be 4, and C would be negative 6. So I'm going to be looking for that if you have a question like this on your final. Did you identify A, B, and C? In order to find our vertex, we need our formula x equals negative b over 2a. And that's only going to get us the x coordinate, right? But negative b over 2a, so negative b, well, my b value is 4, so I'm going to put a 4 inside there, over 2a, well, a is negative 2. So if we simplify, we've got negative 4 over negative 4. That equals a positive 1 for my x value. Which means right away, if I look at my answer choices, I can eliminate C and D because they don't have the correct x value. My vertex I know is going to be 1 something. I just need to figure out what that something is. Okay, in order to figure out that something, I'm going to have to use substitution. So my original equation is y equals negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. And all we're going to do is we're going to plug in 1 for x. So directly underneath it, y equals negative 2 and then 1 squared plus 4 times 1 minus 6. And we're going to plug that in our calculators and get an answer. So let's see, negative 2 plus 4 would be 2 minus 6, so we should get y equals negative 4, which means that is the y value of our vertex. So our answer here is going to be choice A, 1, negative 4. That's going to be the work I'm looking for on a problem like this. Okay. The questions 7 and 8 are very similar to numbers 5 and 6. You're going to be finding the vertex, and then just remember your axis of symmetry is the x part of your vertex. So in this case, the axis of symmetry would be x equals 1. Okay, so I'm not going to do one of those in the video. Determining if your vertex is a minimum or a maximum, the first thing you want to do is put it in standard form. So standard form for number 10 here would be y equals negative x squared plus 8x plus 20. And if I look at that, I have a negative x squared. So since my leading coefficient is negative, I know that my parabola opens down. So I'm going to draw a sketch of that. And I know that my vertex then must be right there. So that is going to be a maximum. That is the work I'm looking for in a problem like this. Did you put it in standard form? Did you circle your leading coefficient so you know whether the parabola opens up or down? And then label your vertex, and so it's a maximum. Similarly with number 9, if we look at it, it's already in standard form. So I'm looking at a positive x squared. That means my parabola opens up. So in this case, my vertex is down here at the bottom. So since it's at the bottom, that's a minimum. All right, so you guys should be comfortable with that. You used to be, so you just kind of need a refresher. Hopefully this is helping. Okay, moving on. Let's do a graph. All right. So we're going to do number 13. All right, so your first job when you are doing a problem like this is, of course, is it in standard form? And this one is y equals negative x squared plus 4x minus 7. So we're going to just go ahead and jump right in. A equals, B equals, C equals. Because in order to graph a parabola, the first thing you need is your vertex. So we're going to do exactly what we did in question 5 on the other page. We're going to find the vertex. And in order to do that, we need A, B, and C. So A is negative 1, B is 4, and C is negative 7. Okay, so let's go ahead and use our formula. X equals negative B over 2A. So negative 4 over 2A, and A is negative 1. So if we put that into our calculators, we should get negative 4 over negative 2, so we get x equals positive 2. So that is not only our axis of symmetry, but the x-coordinate of our vertex. So it's going to be 2 comma something. And then we're going to use substitution. So y equals negative x squared plus 4x minus 7. And we're going to substitute this value of 2. So y equals, be careful with parentheses here, it's negative parentheses squared plus 4 parentheses minus 7. Oops, sorry, I kind of ran out of room there. And we're plugging in 2 inside those parentheses. Okay, so if we put that into our calculator, we'd get negative 4 plus 8 is 4 minus 7 would be negative 3. So the y value of our vertex is negative 3. By the way, I know that I'm going through all of this really fast. That's because I don't want the video to be too long. So you guys should be pausing the video, plugging this stuff in your calculator, and making sure I'm getting it right. Okay, because keep in mind I do make mistakes. So please, please, please make sure you're doing that. So we've got two options here. We can look at all of our graphs now and see if any of these graphs have a vertex of 2, negative 3, or we could keep going. I'm going to check my graphs first. This graph A has a vertex at negative 2, positive 1. Plus this graph opens up. That can't be an answer, so I'm going to cross that one off. All right, this graph has a vertex at negative 4, negative 4. It's right here, right? That's not the right vertex either. So I'm looking for 2, negative 3. So positive 2, negative 3. Okay, so this vertex, this is a possibility. I'm going to put a star by it. And then this one has a vertex at 3, 1. So that one doesn't work either. So we actually, without even having to do anything else, we can pick that as our answer, because it's got the right vertex and it opens down. And there's no other options. But really, if we needed to, once we found the vertex, we can go to our calculator. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it really quickly. Because remember, we're going to make our table, x, y, and our vertex goes in the middle, 2, -3. And then remember, we subtract 1, add 1, and add 1. And then we can pull out our calculator and get those values. So y equals will bring us to this screen, and we're going to plug it in. Negative x squared plus 4x minus 7. And we're going to hit second graph because that'll bring us to the table. And I'm going to clear out what I have in there. Mine might be a little bit different than yours, but that's okay. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we look, we can copy those values over. So 0, -7, 1, -4, and then -4 and -7 flip on over. So we can check those values on our graph and make sure that they work. So 0, -7 is right here on my graph. 1, -4 is right here on my graph. And then my values just flip on over my axis of symmetry. So I know that that's the right answer. Okay, so that's how you want to do that question. And there's one more type of question for this section. So, solve each equation with the quadratic formula. All right, so let's look at question 15. Quadratic formula, our very first step is it must be equal to 0, and then it must be in standard form. All right, so if we look, number 15 is equal to 0 already, so that's a good thing, but it's not in standard form yet. So we are going to put it in standard form. 4x squared plus 10x minus 126 equals 0. Okay, and then let's see, we're going to need our a, b, and c. So a equals, b equals, c equals. A is going to be 4, b is 10, and c is -126. And then we need our quadratic formula. So this is the song, right? X equals -b plus or minus square root. So write that first. X equals -b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, you need to know that formula. Sing the song. I promise it helps. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and rewrite now. So x equals -b, so my b value is 10, plus or minus square root of b squared, and again b is 10, minus 4ac, so I need to plug in a and c, so 4 and -126. All over 2 and then a, which is 4. Okay, this should look familiar. We did a lot of these problems when we studied this chapter. So you should find this packet if you're having trouble. Okay, x equals, I'm going to rewrite this as just -10 plus or minus the square root. I'm going to leave the square root blank for a second. And I'm going to do 2 times 4 to give me 8. Remember, the very first thing we want to do is plug in the radicand. Not the radical, just what's inside. So grab your calculators and we're going to put that in exactly as we see it. So parentheses 10 squared minus 4 parentheses 4 parentheses -126 and hit enter. So inside that radical there, we're going to write 2116. Okay, so -10 plus or minus the square root of 2116 all over 8. Now we can go ahead and plug in the square root part. So in our calculators, we're going to do the square root of 2116 and we get 46. So this is now -10 plus or minus 46 all over 8. Okay, and then we have to remember that this plus or minus means we're going to write 2 equations. Okay, so normally we would keep going there. I'm running out of space. So I'm going to go ahead and move it on over and just give myself some space here. But negative 10 plus 46 over 8 and negative 10 minus 46 all over 8. And we're going to plug both of those into our calculator. So make sure you use the alpha y equals. Okay, negative 10 plus 46 over 8. And we get 9 over 2. So if I want that as a fraction or as a decimal, I can just do 9 divided by 2. And I get 4.5. And then I'm going to do the other one. Alpha y equals negative 10 minus 46 and then all over 8. And we get negative 7. So those are our two solutions, and if we look, that is answer choice B. Okay, on your final you'll have plenty of space to do all of this, but that is what your answers should look like. So this whole video then is everything from section 9.4 to 9.6. It's the very first thing that we did at the beginning of the semester. Okay, if you have questions, comment them on the video. I'll comment back or send me an email or come into the MRC and get some help before your final. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Bye.